The results are coming in what could be a real-time referendum on the future of the Democratic Party. Many analysts see New York City's mayoral race as a litmus test between establishment Democrats and the younger, more progressive wing of the party. CNN's chief data analyst, Harry Enten, is with us at the table now. Harry, woo,
whoa, earthquake.
Whoa, yeah. Okay, tell us where we are right now.
I mean, look. Mamdani is ahead by plenty at this point. You can see on your screen right there, that's a 7-point lead right now in terms of the first round votes. Now, obviously, New York uses a ranked choice voting system where essentially you eliminate all the candidates, you reallocate their ballots because the folks who get a ballot will rank their candidates 1 through 5, and you essentially reallocate the votes until one candidate gets at least 50%. But I will tell you this, if you look on your screen, you see the third place candidate, Brad Lander, cross-endorsed with Mamdani. Most of his votes are very likely to go to Mamdani, and not a single pre-election poll that I saw had Cuomo getting anywhere near the type of support that he would need once those ballots reallocated. That lead will almost certainly stand up, and that is why I do believe that Cuomo has conceded the Democratic nomination.
And he's called Mamdani to concede, which is extraordinary.
Let me tell you this. I study New York City politics in my entire life. The only New York City primary that I think is tantamount to this in terms of the earthquake is 1989, when David Dinkins came in and defeated Ed Koch, who was running for a 4th term for mayor. That is the type of earthquake that we're seeing here, and he's done it. He came into this race down, 30, 40 points to Andrew Cuomo, the former governor, who everyone thought was a huge favorite. Apparently not. He did it by activating younger voters, by activating very liberal voters, by cutting into Andrew Cuomo's base with black voters. The bottom line is this. Mamdani is now a force to be reckoned with in Democratic politics nationwide going forward.
Joy, you talked to him on Friday.
We had him on the show on Friday. We also had Brad Lander on, and Brad Lander talked about being tackled by ICE agents as he was trying to defend immigrants. What Mamdani said that I thought was really extraordinary, he would be the first immigrant mayor of the preeminent immigrant capital in the United States, a city that is a sanctuary city where people are still being accosted at their immigration hearings. And so I think just symbolically, I think this is a message about people's revulsion in the treatment of immigrants by this administration, and about the ways in which the Adams administration has been complicit in that.
I think
that's
part
bit,
of what's
Joy,
made him from your interview with him, where he talks about this. Let's listen.
You know, I would be the first immigrant mayor of this city in generations, and I would be proud to be that, but even prouder for what I would actually do. This is a city of immigrants. We've said for so long, 40% of New Yorkers were born outside of this country. And yet what we've seen in the current mayoral administration, and even in Andrew Cuomo's campaign, is an insufficient readiness to actually take on Donald Trump and protect New Yorkers. One of the things we should be proudest of in New York City are our sanctuary city laws. These are laws that have kept New Yorkers safe for decades, been defended by Republicans and Democrats alike for that time period until the demagoguery of this current mayor. I would proudly stand up for those laws.
So he's talking there also about Eric Adams, who we haven't really talked about because he's not in this primary, but is expected to run on another line in the general. This will be an indictment on Eric Adams, too, and his willingness to, I guess, in the words of Mamdani, stand up to Donald Trump.
There's no one happier after Mamdani and his family than Eric Adams tonight, because everyone over 50 years old who remembers Times Square in the 1970s and the 1980s when you couldn't walk through, it was all pornography and crack and muggings and rapes and robberies. Everyone who remembers that is going to vote for Eric Adams. The New York Times, who didn't do an endorsement, did say, please don't vote for Mamdani, as did the Daily News, as did the New York Post. So anybody who knows how bad New York can get all came out against Mamdani, because a 33-year-old with zero experience running anything except a little office with 5 employees should not be running the city of New York.
Donald Trump is president of the United States. His experience was being on The Apprentice. He's head of the Pentagon, who's experienced being a weekend anchor on Fox. Are you kidding me? He's got Dr. Oz is in his administration. Dr. Oz,
you're leaving out something. He's a 33-year-old socialist who's never run a popsicle stand.
He's literally in city government right now. Sorry. After Donald Trump, I'm sorry, after Donald Trump and his Pinky in the Brain administration, no one ever gets to talk about qualifications
Socialism
again.
will not save the
bottom
capitalist
line is,
capital of the
what
world.
I want to ask you a question. What is your evidence that Mamdani would return New York City to the 1970s hellhole Times Square. What is your evidence of
It's
that?
very simple. So he wants to raise taxes on people who make the most money. What eventually is going to happen is you're going to lose that tax base. Once you lose that tax base, our bonds will get degraded. Now the city budget will not be substantial enough to subsidize not only the cops but the fire department, the sanitation department. Once you start losing Wall Street and people who pay $11,000, $12,000 a month to live on the Upper East Side, you're done.
Let me ask
and
you.
you go back to the 70s when Gerald Ford said to New York, drop dead.
Okay, but
and
hold
the
on,
whole
hold on,
fiscal
Arthur.
crisis.
But Arthur, just as somebody who is just listening to you, you raise the taxes on wealthy people in this city, maybe a couple percent, right?
They're already at 50%.
Yeah, they're already
53%.
and that's exactly my
Which is
point.
where they're on
They're
their way to
already
Miami.
paying some of the high.
Did you hear that?
I know, Arthur, but Arthur, they are already paying right at this moment some of the highest taxes in the country, and you think that 1 or 2% is going to cause a mass exodus out of New York?
But Hannah just said it's correct. It already has started.
I just
It's
want to be
already
clear
there.
that that's what you're saying, because I think
Yes.
that seems pretty extraordinary.
Because he's also
Stop.
not going to focus on crime. Right now, you have Police Commissioner Tisch and John Chell, the chief of the department. Crime in the city of New York, right now is set to break all records as the lowest ever in recorded history for shootings and murders. Once that starts going up in the other direction, and the tax base is gone, and
I'm sorry,
sanitation is
you've
gone,
been
and
answered.
schools are
Okay,
gone.
Why
last-
would crime go up?
hold on,
And what
hold
would
on,
cause
hold on.
crime
Last
to go up?
thing
Is their presence?
Hold on.
Okay,
Last
let
thing
me-
I will
let me
say, and then I'll let
something
you in,
as a-
Anna.
as
The last thing
some-
I'll say, and then I'll let you in. Under Eric Adams, crime did go up in the city.
And then went down.
Yes, but
That was during the pandemic.
yes,
and migrants.
Exactly. But I'm just being clear. Crime has already gone up in New York, and it
then
has
went down.
come down. So even when crime went up in New York, there was perhaps some
Flight.
departure, but
Yes.
there was not a collapse of
No,
the
but there
tax
was-
base
but
in
there
New
was
York City.
flight.
Okay, Anna, go
There
ahead.
was flight.
Okay, so I am not a New Yorker. I live in Miami, where we don't have 50% tax rate.
Anna's like, "I'm already floored."
We have our share of insane elections and insane politicians, but this reminded me. You talked about the Dinkins election. To me, this reminded me of the AOC
Yes.
versus
Yes.
Joe Crowley
Correct.
election, where there was this
correct.
establishment sacred cow who thought that because of his name and because of his pockets, he could walk into it, and there was a young upstart who put a lot of leather and a lot of footwork and
lot of boots on the ground.
and boots on the ground and did it. And so, I would say when it comes to New York, do not underestimate
That's right.
the sweat
I'm not
of these folks.
underestimating.
And by the way,
He won. I'm not underestimating.
I would just say this.
and I would not have voted for him.
If you were saying that Eric Adams is the person who's loves this result the second most compared to after Mamdani.
He'll be the anti-Mamdani.
But I will say this, the people who hate this result the most are the Democratic establishment. We have seen poll after poll after poll showing Democratic voters fed up with their leaders in Washington, fed up with their leaders in government. And all of a sudden, Andrew Cuomo, who 5 years ago was leading those COVID, press conferences, was this guy who was held up in such high esteem. And now all of a sudden, the best he can do is what, 37%?
62% of
And
Democrats.
What
say
happened in
that.
those
They were
days?
talking about
62%
running. He
of
was talking about running
Democrats
for
say
president
that
at
they're
one point.
that
Yeah,
they're
so
party
Republicans
leaders in
bottom-
place.
and
had the
bottom-
Tea Party. This is the Chai Party taking over the Democrats. And I run campaigns for Republicans all over the country. If they turn to 33-year-old socialists who've never run popsicle stands, that's great for us. We'll win a lot of elections.
So can somebody explain this to me now? So this could end up. So Cuomo could end up running as an independent.
Cuomo has-
Adams ends up as an independent, and then this guy.
In other words, it ain't over, folks.